takes the most despicable kind of person to sit in the safety of her own home, surrounded by taxpayer-funded Secret Service agents armed to the gills with firearms, willing to lay down their lives to protect her, to sit there and blame 5 million law-abiding, gun-owning members of the NRA for the mass shooting in Las Vegas. That woman today is Hillary Clinton. You know I'm not the type of broadcaster to hurl ad hominem attacks, and I'm not going to start doing that now. 58 people are dead. Over 500 others are wounded. But I will set the record straight when a Politico so singularly obsessed with her own agenda stoops to the level of slandering millions of innocent law-abiding citizens for a gruesome act of mass murder. The crowd fled at the sound of gunshots, Hillary Clinton tweeted. Imagine the deaths if the shooter had a silencer, which the NRA wants to make easier to get. Well, if that isn't just freaking ignorant. Silencers don't actually silence guns. Not even close to silent. Have you ever actually learned about firearms? Because you are incredibly ill-informed, not to mention distasteful and disrespectful to make such an ignorant, politically charged comment at a time like this. Do you not care about the people who die just a little bit more than your own political aspirations? Our grief isn't enough, Hillary continued. We can and must put politics aside, stand up to the NRA, and work together to try to stop this from happening again. First of all, you can't say let's put politics aside and blame the NRA in the same sentence. That is, in and of itself, igniting divisive politics, which of course is what you do best. Second of all, we don't know yet what kind of weapon the attacker used. Speculating that it was a fully automatic weapon is just that. It's purely speculative. And the majority of people who are jumping to that conclusion aren't doing so because they're firearms experts who can identify the sounds of automatic gunfire, making an educated guess. No, no. They're talking about the weapon because they want to blame the weapon and not the murderer. That being said, it's worth noting that fully automatic weapons are already illegal, as is mass murder. Fully automatic weapons have been illegal since 1986. That's 31 years for you liberals who struggle with logic and math and clearly with history. Let me reiterate. We don't know what kind of weapon the attacker used. What we do know is he was evil, and he plotted and waged mass murder. And 58 people lost their lives because of his brutality and his cowardice and his utter disrespect for the sanctity and value of all human life. If he did use a fully automatic weapon, doesn't this just prove our point anyway? That even if you illegalize guns, bad guys who want to do bad things will get their hands on the guns anyway? Let me remind you again, murder is also illegal. And this man murdered 58 people in cold blood, our fellow countrymen. So let's you and I do what Hillary Clinton will not do. Let's not politicize this for our own gain. That's all I have to say about this topic tonight, because I won't disrespect the victims and their families by using them as pawns for political purposes. Instead, I invite you to pray with me for the victims who lost their lives, the families grieving the loss of their loved ones, the witnesses who escaped with their lives but who will never be the same, and for our nation. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. And that's my final point. Funny how Democrats are so outraged over unsubstantiated allegations of collusion between Congressman Nunes and President Trump. They're raging about outright false accusations of collusion between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. But for some reason, this life and death, substantiated, corrupt conflict of interest, it doesn't seem to bother them. A citizen journalist attacked, his home raided, an attorney general who solicited signatures for Planned Parenthood, a congressman who received thousands of dollars from the abortion giant, a nasty web of connection, all leading to 15 bogus felony charges for a man who sacrificed almost 3 years of his life to expose horrific wrongdoing. Meet David Daleiden. He's the man behind the videos that show Planned Parenthood chopping up aborted babies, bargaining and selling the aborted baby body parts for profit.
What are you looking to supply today?
We were asked to procure certain tissues like brain, liver, thymus, pancreas, heart, lungs, skin, pretty much anything on the fetus.
A lot of people want to attack parts these days because they're looking for specific nodes. Maybe nodes, essay. I was like, wow, I didn't even know. Good for them.
I remember leaving that day, like, what have I got myself into?
Yesterday was the first time she said people wanted lungs, and then, like I said, always as many attack livers as possible.
So I don't want to sound like a salesman here, but I'm going to. So we return a portion of our fees to the clinic.
Oh. Yeah, and so if we alter our process and we are able to obtain intact fetal cadavers, It's all just a matter of line items.
Selling the body parts of aborted babies for profit is a federal offense punishable by up to 10 years in prison or a fine of up to $500,000. Don't just take my word for it. Look it up yourself. It's called Prohibitions Regarding Human Fetal Tissue. Because of these videos, Congress has referred Planned Parenthood for criminal prosecution in Texas. The Senate Judiciary Committee does not make referrals lightly. Meanwhile, in California, moral bankruptcy reigns. Never mind the federal law of the land that prohibits the sale or the purchase of aborted baby body parts. Never mind the moral obligation to protect the most vulnerable among us. Never mind the dignity with which we as Americans honor our dead. If you threaten the abortion industry, they will take you down by hook or by crook. In this case, both. State Attorney General Javier Becerra charged David Daleiden and his partner Sandra Merritt with 15 felony counts. What were the charges, you ask? For recording people without their permission. Yup. Just as bogus as you might imagine, and it won't hold up in court. Even Planned Parenthood CEO Cecile Richards herself said the recorded conversations were not in a confidential space.
My judgment, it was inappropriate to have that conversation in a non-clinical setting, in a non-confidential area about clinical matters, okay. And I've told that to Dr. Nucatola.
And it gets even shadier than that. The law in California prohibiting journalists from recording undercover videos of healthcare providers, which, by the way, is probably an outright violation of our First Amendment rights. This law was crafted in part by none other than former Attorney General Kamala Harris. The law was passed after Daleiden released his video. And guess who helped write the text of that law? Yup, Planned Parenthood. The chief legal counsel for Planned Parenthood affiliates of California emailed Attorney General Kamala Harris for advice about the wording of the bill to make sure it would hold up legally in California's justice system. Isn't that a shady little partnership? It's not surprising, though. Kamala Harris stepped down as Attorney General in 2016 after she won a bid for the United States Senate. Guess who contributed $2,600 to her Senate campaign? Yup, Planned Parenthood. Harris also pocketed nearly $40,000 in campaign donations from the pro-abortion lobby. After Kamala Harris won her Senate bid with the help of Planned Parenthood's blood money, Congressman Javier Becerra, now Attorney General Becerra, same one who charged Daleiden with 15 felony counts, he stepped into her place. But when he was Congressman, Javier Becerra also had his pockets packed with donations from, yup, Planned Parenthood. $1,035 in 1998, $1,000 in 2002, $500 in 2004, $2,000 in 2012, and $1,000 in 2014. And now, one of Becerra's former aides, while he served in Congress, works as a lobbyist for, you guessed it, Planned Parenthood. And there's just one more thing. The dishonest abortion lobby tried the same corrupt trickery in Texas. Guess what happened? Both the charges and the district attorney, they were thrown out. And that's my final point tonight. What the mainstream media won't tell you about the Comey memo. The New York Times published a report yesterday that alleged President Trump told FBI Director James Comey to drop the investigation into former National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. The unnamed source told the New York Times that Comey wrote a memo about Trump's request. Now the media and liberals are going wild. They're calling for impeachment of President Trump. But here's what the mainstream media won't tell you. Now, don't get me wrong. I will not be engaging in hypotheticals here. I have enough respect for you, my viewers, not to do that. I'm not a Democrat. I don't jump to conclusions before I know the facts. If the memo is real, show it to me. Show it to Congress. Then, when I have the facts, I'll tell you the severity. But here are some questions we should be asking, and I'm sure the mainstream media won't ask them, so let's do it ourselves. If the Comey memo is true, why didn't James Comey reveal this memo to Congress immediately after it happened? Why didn't he quit the FBI? If Comey didn't tell the Department of Justice about an attempt to obstruct justice, isn't Comey himself criminally liable for that? If the Comey memo is true, why didn't James Comey tell Senators Burr and Warner about it when he met with them just days before he was fired to discuss in depth the Russia investigation? If obstruction of justice occurred, why did acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe testify under oath just last week that the Russia investigation wasn't impeded in any way and was continuing full tilt? Surely he would have been aware of that memo. Why aren't Republicans and Democrats alike calling for all memos written by Comey to be released? I'm sure Comey had memos on Hillary, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, President Obama, in addition to President Trump. But it's funny how only Republicans are making that call for transparency and truth. People, leaks of classified information are dangerous. They put people's lives at risk. The leaks must stop. It is the epitome of selfishness to exact revenge against a political foe without any concern whatsoever for whether that leak could harm other people. Now, congressional Republicans won't comment on this. They won't come on TV shows, and that's bad. What's worse is congressional Democrats jumping to conclusions before they know the facts. I will never cease to be shocked at how the mainstream media runs with all the stories that are based solely on unnamed sources. A mainstream network had a report last night on the Comey memo that said, in effect, we learned via an unnamed source about a memo that we haven't seen, but it was described to us. I read that and thought, are you kidding? Now, I get it. I get the privacy of sources is important in journalism, but it's gotten to the point where the mainstream media is using anonymity as a shield to tell people what to believe without providing any truth. That must stop, too. What the mainstream media won't tell you, if you're calling for impeachment without evidence, if you're not waiting for the facts of the Comey memo before you want to convict, who's inciting a constitutional crisis now? And that's my final point tonight. Remember that time Donald Trump was business partners with the Russian government when Trump's company received $35 million from Russia from a government investment fund called Rusnano that was personally started by Vladimir Putin and has been called Putin's child? Oh no, wait. That was John Podesta, not Donald Trump. Remember that time Donald Trump was paid an exorbitant $500,000 to give a speech in Moscow, paid for by a company called Renaissance Capital, a company tied to none other than Russian intelligence agencies? Oh no, wait. That was Bill Clinton, not Donald Trump. Remember that time Donald Trump approved the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium to the Russians while he was Secretary of State? Oh no, wait. That was Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump. By the way, this sale gave control of that uranium to Rosatom. You know what that is? The Russian State Nuclear Agency. Remember that time Donald Trump lied and said he wasn't part of approving that deal that gave the Russians 1/5 of our uranium? And then his emails were leaked that showed he actually was lying and he did know about it? Oh no, wait. That was Hillary Clinton and John Podesta, not Donald Trump. Remember that time Donald Trump coincidentally scored $145 million from shareholders of that same uranium company that was sold to the Russians? Oh no, wait. That was Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation. Remember that time Donald Trump accepted millions of dollars in donations from Russian oligarchs, like the chairman of a company that's part of Russia's nuclear research cluster, or the wife of the mayor of Moscow, or a close buddy of Vladimir Putin? Oh no, wait. That was the Clinton Foundation, not Donald Trump. Remember that time Trump failed to disclose all these Russian donors to his foundation before he served as Secretary of State? And we only found out about the Russian donors because some hardworking journalist combed through Canadian tax records of all places to find that evidence? Oh no, wait. That was Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump. Make no mistake, we have evidence of inappropriate dealings with Russia, but none of the evidence points to Donald Trump. It all points directly to John Podesta, Hillary Clinton, and the Clinton Foundation. Funny how the mainstream media and Democrats don't seem to care about that. And that's my final point.